I'm Rob Brewer, one of the founders of Flying Tiger Brewery, located in historic downtown Monroe. We take our name, obviously, after the Flying Tigers of World War II, who flew the P-40 Sharkmouth planes, just like the one pictured behind me. And General Chenault, who was the commander of the Flying Tigers, graduated from LSU, but he lived in Monroe following the war, and we've got a number of connections to him and the Flying Tigers throughout our state. We've got parks, golf courses. We've got the Chenault Aviation and Military Museum located in Monroe as well. We've got connections to General Chenault and the Flying Tigers, to ULM and to LSU. And so our part is just to keep the legacy of the Flying Tigers alive and tell that story. We're corporate sponsors of that museum as well. We'd love for you to come visit us if you're in Monroe, Louisiana. We've got a fantastic tap room. We've got 10 to 12 beers always on tap. We've got a great production facility that we do tours of in the back, and a great green space outside as well that we'd love for you to come and visit. We're the only brewery in Northeast Louisiana that does all of its production and packaging on site. We've got a number of beers that we'd love for you to try. We've got food trucks, special events, live music, fundraisers. We do all sorts of stuff in this community, and we'd love for you to participate. So follow us on Facebook or Instagram if you want to know more about those details. But we'd love for you to come visit us here in Monroe, Louisiana. We've got a couple of beers that you can find pretty much throughout the state, at least far south as Baton Rouge, which is where our current distribution goes from the north to the south. We've got our three flagships, the Burma Blonde, that's a tailgate lager, Man-at-Arms Amber, a delicious amber, and our single IPA, Heroic Hops. We also do Warhawk. It's our scholarship beer. We give 5% of our gross sales to a student scholarship at ULM, supporting the President's Scholarship, Top Hawks. Then we've got a variety of seasonal beers that you can see back here. We've got a milk stout I'm out of them, that's why it's got a plant in it. We're also the official beer of the Shreveport Mudbugs hockey team. We call it Penalty Bock. This beer is available over in the Shreveport market. And then we just started a new beer series called Juiciana for juicy Louisiana beers. The first beer in that series was Final Resting Place. It's a New England style juicy double IPA available throughout the market as well. And then we are going to be releasing very soon, and you will find this beer Juicy. It's our Juicy Pale Ale, a great summer beer. And we have a third beer in this series that'll be coming out later in the fall. We opened in 2017, so we're not an old brewery, but we're a young, hustling brewery, and we'd love for you to come visit us and check out Flying Tiger Brewery.
Super. Real quick, tell me a little bit more about the Warhawks of ULM.
Great. So, what was formerly known as Northeast Louisiana changed their name to the University of Louisiana Monroe, and when they rebranded, they changed themselves from the Indians to the Warhawks, in part to celebrate this local connection to Chenault and the Flying Tigers as well. That wasn't the exclusive reason, but that's a P-40 Warhawk. Their mascot is a Warhawk bird, but he wears a pilot's uniform, and they have their own little P-40 golf cart that they drive around, and they do a number of branding and connections to the Flying Tigers as well.
Great. And then the Warhawks were out of China. Tell us a little bit why China loves the Warhawks.
So, the Flying Tigers kind of preceded Pearl Harbor and the United States' involvement in World War II by about 6 months. China was being pretty much whooped by Japan. They needed help. The United States didn't want to do anything that'd be seen as an act of war and didn't want to send official military. So they let General Chenault, who was working with the Chinese, recruit American pilots and servicemen who were allowed to decommission from the military, and some were already out of the military, and they were basically mercenaries. They were paid by the Chinese aviation there, and so they went to China, and they basically turned around the war for China, and they are loved and worshipped in China. Chinese businessmen and women, when they come to Louisiana, always go visit the Chenault Aviation and Military Museum. They have a tremendous museum in China, more like a Smithsonian, in fact, over there, dedicated to Chenault and the Flying Tigers over there. And so they're revered and loved worldwide, but particularly in China.
Now, and he had like an attack mode with his, like he would come from up top or something?
So their planes were not the most sophisticated. The P-40 was not as advanced as the ones that the Japanese were using, and he developed some fighter techniques that are still used to this day that really gave them an advantage. Their aircraft wasn't superior, but their fighting techniques that he developed were. This is something that is important. You know, there was a movie made by John Wayne about the Flying Tigers, and there's a lot out there, but a younger generation just doesn't know the story of what they've done. It's a great history and something that you can take pride in.